10 U.S. cities on brink of disaster. Experts warn natural catastrophes and climate change are posing a growing threat to many American towns, endangering their infrastructure, businesses, and populations. These vulnerabilities are being exacerbated by natural disasters, including hurricanes and earthquakes, harsh weather, and rising sea levels. In this video, we will go through 10 cities that are particularly vulnerable and at risk of severe damage in the coming decades. Number 10. New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans is among the most vulnerable cities in the United States because of its location below sea level, which makes it particularly vulnerable to flooding. Hurricane Katrina's 2005 devastation brought attention to the city's precarious situation, and experts warn that sea levels could rise by up to 4.6 feet by 2100, flooding large areas of the city. The city's infrastructure is already feeling the strain, and without immediate solutions like better levee systems and stormwater management, New Orleans may continue to experience devastating flooding in the future. The risk is further increased by the continuous loss of coastal wetlands, which serve as a natural storm barrier, and the region is already facing more powerful hurricanes due to climate change, which can bring damaging winds and precipitation. Number 9. Miami, Florida. Miami is frequently at the forefront of conversations about how climate change is affecting cities, especially given its susceptibility to hurricanes and increasing sea levels. Miami is especially vulnerable to flooding because of its porous limestone base and rapid rate of sinking. The city's water supply is at danger as salty seawater seeps into freshwater aquifers due to rising ocean levels. Sunny day flooding, in which streets flood even in the absence of rain, has already occurred in Miami and is predicted to get worse as sea levels rise. Hurricanes have also become more frequent and intense, and Miami's coastal houses are constantly at risk of storm surge destruction. Experts emphasize that in order to keep the water at bay as the city grows, significant infrastructure upgrades like seawalls and pumps are required. Number 8. New York City, New York. New York City faces a multitude of climate risks, from extreme heat to rising sea levels. More frequent and powerful storms are likely to overwhelm the city's deteriorating infrastructure, much of which was built for a bygone age. Coastal flooding is a serious risk, especially for Brooklyn and Lower Manhattan neighborhoods that may be affected by storm surges during hurricanes and other severe weather events. Public health threats, flooding of vital infrastructure like electricity grids, and major disruptions to transportation networks are all possible outcomes of climate change. Additionally, as summer heat waves become more frequent, the city is witnessing an increase in heat-related illnesses and fatalities, which disproportionately affect vulnerable groups in less affluent neighborhoods. Effective adaptation strategies, such as better storm water systems and climate-resilient building designs, are vital to mitigating these risks. Number 7. San Francisco, California. San Francisco is particularly vulnerable to earthquakes, but the city is also at risk from flooding and rising sea levels. Rising sea levels put the city's low-lying neighborhoods, including the Mission Bay neighborhood and portions of the waterfront, and its coastline at risk of flooding. According to projections, regular flooding may occur in some areas by 2100, affecting the infrastructure of homes, businesses, and transportation. The city is also at risk from the land sinking in some areas of the Bay Area, which exacerbates the issue of sea level rise. Although the area has taken steps to prepare for future climate scenarios, such as developing coastline protection measures, experts advise the city to make investments in more comprehensive solutions to protect its sensitive areas from earthquakes and rising waves. Number 6. Seattle, Washington. Seattle's vulnerabilities are mainly tied to natural disasters, particularly earthquakes. Large earthquakes and tsunamis can be produced by the Cascadia subduction zone, which is located off the coast of Washington. Although the last significant event in the area happened in 1700, experts think it is time for another. Additionally, the city is susceptible to severe weather conditions, including as prolonged rainstorms and possible flooding. While Seattle is not as prone to hurricanes or wildfires as other parts of the U.S., The possibility for a big seismic catastrophe is a matter for concern. Retrofitting older buildings is one of the earthquake preparedness measures the city has put in place, but the risk is still high. The infrastructure in the area would probably be badly damaged, and a significant earthquake or tsunami could have disastrous economic effects. Number 5. Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston is one of the cities most affected by both sea level rise and land subsidence. The city is sinking at a rate of about 4 millimeters per year, which compounds the effects of rising seas and increases the risk of flooding. Already, the city endures regular high tide flooding, notably in its historic downtown district. As sea levels continue to rise, scientists warn that Charleston might risk significant destruction to its historic buildings and coastal towns. Charleston is also vulnerable to tropical storms and hurricanes, which can bring with them severe rainfall and storm surges. Although the city has taken action to mitigate these risks by implementing flood control measures, the problem still exists, particularly in an area where a large portion of the economy depends on port and tourism. Number 4. Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore is at risk from a combination of extreme heat, rising sea levels, and flooding. Because of its proximity to the Chesapeake Bay, Baltimore is particularly vulnerable to flooding as a result of storm surges and rising tides. Extreme heat, however, is one of the city's most pressing problems. Heat waves are made worse by Baltimore's urban heat island effect, which occurs when cities are noticeably warmer than the surrounding areas. In fact, heat danger advisories are in effect for about 98% of the city's real estate listings. Especially in the summer, these high temperatures put a load on the electrical infrastructure and raise the risk of heat-related illnesses. Additionally, the city's water and sewer systems, which are older, are not prepared to withstand these severe weather conditions. In order to mitigate these hazards, substantial investments in heat mitigation techniques, green infrastructure, and climate change-aware urban planning will be needed. Number 3. Virginia Beach, Virginia. Due to its coastal location, Virginia Beach is extremely vulnerable, with the main dangers being wind and storm surge. Hurricanes and tropical storms, which bring high winds and a lot of rain, are common in the region and can seriously harm infrastructure. Wind danger cautions are present on approximately 98% of new property listings in the area, demonstrating how widespread the issue is for both companies and homeowners. The city is a prime target for climate change adaptation methods because of its susceptibility to flooding and wind damage. Rising sea levels endanger coastal regions in addition to storm hazards, causing frequent floods in certain communities. Though more extensive planning is required to safeguard the city's long-term resilience, local authorities are investigating ways to strengthen coastal defenses. Number 2. Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville faces the challenge of rapid temperature increases, with the city seeing an alarming rise in average temperatures over the past few decades. There have been increasingly severe heat waves during the summer months since 1961, as a result of Louisville's temperatures rising at a pace of 1.67 degrees every 10 years. In addition to endangering public health, particularly in regions that are already at risk, these heat waves put additional demand on the electrical grid since locals must use air conditioning to stay cool. A major issue is urban heat islands, which make the city much warmer than the nearby rural areas. In the upcoming years, it is anticipated that this tendency will get worse and that the danger of heat-related illnesses would increase. It will be necessary to modify Louisville's roads, bridges, and public buildings to withstand rising temperatures and lessen the urban heat effect. Number 1. Honolulu, Hawaii. Honolulu is especially susceptible to the effects of climate change, including increased storm intensity and sea level rise. Because Honolulu is an island encircled by the Pacific Ocean, it is extremely vulnerable to floods, especially around the coast. Over the course of the next century, sea levels are predicted to increase considerably, possibly submerging portions of the city. More frequent and powerful tropical storms are also posing a growing threat to Honolulu, with the potential to seriously harm the city's infrastructure and tourism-driven economy. In order to safeguard vulnerable populations, the the city must adjust by constructing more resilient infrastructure, such seawalls, and tackling the root causes of coastal erosion, which is already a concern in some places. The ecosystems that support the region's distinctive biodiversity, agriculture, and water supplies may all be impacted by climate change in Honolulu. These cities serve as prime examples of the various problems brought on by climate change, such as flooding, intense heat, and natural catastrophes. In order to mitigate these hazards, thorough planning, infrastructure investment, and proactive adaptation techniques are needed. If you liked our video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube